Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's video. This week I decided that we would go through all of my bits and bridles, and I'm going to explain to you what they do and why I have them and who they're for. So right now I'm on Jolene. As soon as we get back and I get her taken care of and the horses fed, we will get right into it. Okay, so while the horses are all eating, we will start in the feed room just like last time, and then we'll go to the trailer. We won't have to go inside this time because those bits are double of what's already out here. So let's get started. Okay, the very first bit that we have here is Yo-Yo's egg butt snaffle. It's very simple, but it's actually got extra leverage to it, so it contours to his mouth more, which is nicer where he's older and his teeth are a little more worn down. It just contours to his mouth, so it's more comfortable. And honestly, my ponies are pretty easy to bit because they're pretty, like at home I can ride them in pretty much anything, and then Yo-Yo can be rode in anything, but he does have preferences. For sake of being soft enough for flat work but strong enough to jump, this is what I will ride him in. And then Jolene has a leather D-ring, just a straight flat leather D-ring for at home, because again, it's soft enough to flat and get a hold of her, but also strong enough to, if I want to jump her, I have enough pull on her, but this is pretty much as soft as you can possibly get with a bit. So she is super duper sensitive, so most of her bits, I think all of them actually, are leather. And then the last bit that we have in here is Gidget's. She just has a little happy mouth loose ring with a roller, and she is super easy at home, super simple. She's not super strong. I mean, she never really is, but like she just needs a little bit, just enough in her mouth. And Gidget and Jolene, they want either no joint or double joint, so I guess they just like how it contours in their mouth better. So happy mouth loose ring roller for Gidge because it's soft, it's easy. And then all of my home bridles are just head stalls because I don't want to rely on a noseband or anything to help me, and they're all pretty easy at home, so a head stall is all they need. And then if you want to take a look at hackamores, this is just like an English jumping hackamore. It just has a bit longer of a shank, so you have a little more control and a little more break. Whereas like this one is a lot softer. So like that's Gidget's, this is Jolene's, because Jolene is so sensitive, but Gidget is a little stronger without a bit. So Jolene gets the softer little S that when you pull it, it doesn't pull as much because it goes straight back. Whereas Gidget's, the second you pull, like it's torquing on their face. This one is not. You pull and it's slight pressure, whereas you pull, this is very direct contact, whereas this will take more pull to actually get a response, depending on the horse. Like Jolene's super sensitive, so she gets a softer hackamore at the little S. Gidget is stronger, so she gets a stronger hackamore. And then we have Yo-Yo's hackamore, which is actually a Western shank hackamore. This is super duper strong. It's only on him because when he bucks, you can get his head up really easy with this. All you got to do is just bump up and it'll get his head up. But for the most part, he's super soft, super sensitive. So this is literally just to get his head up because it has enough leverage to do so. And then this is like no brakes, all steering, which I condition Gidget in this a lot, and I'll flat her in this because it's hard. It is super hard to get her to hold the contact in this because it is just nose pressure. That's all it is. There's no torque, there's no pole pressure, it is just nose pressure, so I really have to ride her correctly, and that helps me a lot in my flat work to ride her correctly by using this and flatting her in this and conditioning her in this. And it's super soft. Like, this is the softest bitless option you can get besides a side pull, which I'll show you mine in the trailer. But this one is a Dr. Cook cross under, and it is just, it's super soft, super basic, and all of my ponies love it. All 3 of them do. So I have it as an option. But that's the bits and the hackamores in here, and we will now move on to the trailer. Okay, this is where we will be spending the majority of the video, of course, because I have bits galore in here. But we're gonna educate, we're gonna learn, we're gonna figure out why I have what I do. So that way, if you guys are thinking about changing up the bit or bridle for your horse, you have an idea of what they do and what horse they suit best. So let's get on in here and get to it. I apologize that it is so dark in here. It's the evening, but you can still see the bridles. We're gonna go through bridles first, and then we'll go back to the bits because there's so many bits. So first things first, this is the side pull that I was talking about. So this is the softest bridle you can absolutely get, because again, it is strictly nose pressure, but there's no cross under, so there's no jaw pressure. So it's steering strictly as if you were riding in a halter, basically, but with a little more pull because you have the ring that sticks out to the side a little bit. So super basic, super simple. The ponies love this as well for trail riding, hacking. Gidget is, again, I like to flat her in this occasionally just to challenge myself, but I can't really jump anyone in this because it's just not enough. Jolene plows through it, Yo-Yo plows through it, and honestly Gidget does too. So it's super soft, great for flatting, trail riding, just a super soft, easy bridle. You will see that I have multiple figure eights, so like here's a figure eight and here's a figure eight. I'm just going to show you one of them because it's the same thing. So this is a figure eight bridle. So that centerpiece there goes over their nose. That goes around their mouth in front of the bit like a flash. And then that goes right up in front of their jaw. That does. And basically the main purpose of a figure eight is simply to keep your horse from crossing their jaw. Because when they cross their jaw, they're able to avoid the bit and avoid the contact. So that's why Gidget has a figure eight for dressage, is because she likes to cross her jaw and just kind of like fake putting her head down without being connected. But with this figure eight, she can't do that, so she has to connect and use her back. And then Yo-Yo has a figure eight for jumping because he likes to cross his jaw and pull through me. Again, can't do that because he has that for jumping. And then again, we have a couple head stalls, like Yo-Yo games in a head stall because he's a simple, easy boy. And then Gidget does show jumping and everything in a head stall, but that's because she has a hackamore. So I don't need a noseband. At least not for her. And then like if I do cross country, like I'll use this bit, but just the head stall again because she doesn't really need, she doesn't run away, she doesn't grab the bit or anything. She doesn't do anything that she's not supposed to, basically, when she's jumping. Just like Yo-Yo when he's gaming. He's simple, he's easy, he's soft. Alright. Next is this bridle. It's hard to see it, but it's basically like a variation of the figure eight. So it has this nose piece. It's basically a figure eight, but more anatomically designed, because it lays over the nose, so that way there's not a pressure point on the nose. But same concept. Jolene wears, all of my horses wear their figure eights very, very loosely, because it's almost like there just needs to be like a reminder there to be like, hey, don't cross your jaw. And then like they don't. So it doesn't need to be super tight in order to be effective. And so I keep them pretty loose, but just tight enough that if they try, they feel that pressure and then they won't do it. The Micklem kind of does the same thing again. It prevents crossing of the jaw, but this is more specifically designed just to be anatomically shaped to the skull of the horses. So this one's more for comfort than control, which is why Jolene absolutely loves it. So this is her jumping bridle. She jumps in it because she is super ridiculously sensitive. And so this is fitted to her head. It's super comfortable. She doesn't cross her jaw. She doesn't run away with it. She's super soft and supple in the Micklem. Gidget also has a Micklem for pairs and individuals. Same concept. It's super comfortable, so it makes her happy. And then just same as like figure 8, it has that kind of like design to keep them from crossing their jaw, because she will, in turns, whenever it's time to turn back up the field, she'll go to lock her jaw, and she can't in this. I can break her up a lot easier in this. Okay, and then I have like basic cavesson. I mean, it's basically a headstall with the noseband on it, because I don't have it tight enough to do anything. Because Jolene actually really likes to be able to open her mouth in games. If she can't open her mouth, she gets stuck. So this is like on the second to last hole, like so loose, it's just there for looks pretty much for her. And then Gidget for teams, she has a flash. And a flash, all it does is just keep the horse from opening their mouth too much. You can crank it super tight. I don't like to do that to keep them from opening their mouth at all. I have Gidget's pretty loose. I can fit, you know, 2 fingers just like noseband, so that way she can open her mouth and, you know, a little bit, because it's a comfort thing. Like, I don't want her to be in pain. I'd much rather her just, you know, she can open her mouth, she can get away a little bit, but not enough that she's completely avoiding the bit and avoiding the contact. So she has a flash for games, for teams. A little more honor, a little prevention of crossing the jaw is the Micklem. But that's bridles. That's a pretty simple, basic overview of bridles. Again, I'm so sorry it's dark in here. But she has the same hackamore for jumping, just because she needs a little more pull on her, because she can get pretty strong in jumping. And with that, if I bump on one side, I can get her back easy. But that's bridles. So we will now get into bits. All right, the very first bit that we will start with is this Happy Mouth loose ring. So this is a straight bar Happy Mouth loose ring. It is very basic, very soft. All it provides is bar pressure. And Jolene loves it at home because it acts a lot like the leather. The only difference is it doesn't contour to her mouth. It's a lot harder. So the leather bit will shape to her mouth. This will not. So it's a little bit stronger, but not a whole lot. And it's for horses that prefer bar pressure over roof pressure, which both Gidget and Jolene are that horse. So that's that bit. Next bit that I have, and I have multiple variations of this bit, is it's the same thing, a Happy Mouth Mullen Mouth, except it's shaped. So it has these ridges on it. So it's more of a texture on the tongue, and so it's a little more pressure because it's got these bulbs that will push into the tongue. So it's the same thing, but just a little bit stronger. And then I have it in a loose ring and a full cheek, and then this boucher. So the loose ring is super soft. It'll move around. It's the softest you can get. A full cheek helps with steering because it's full. I'll show you guys a full cheek in just a moment. But then the boucher provides pull pressure, just the slightest bit of pull pressure. So basically when you pull back, this piece is attached to the rein, this piece is attached to the cheek piece. So when you pull, it rotates it. And so this will pull against the pole. And so it's pull pressure, but still a super simple, soft snaffle. So like this is the strongest bit I like to ride my horses in, and Gidget will ride in a bit like this for individuals only, just because I need her to be super quick and responsive, and this accomplishes that. The next bit that I have is just a boucher Happy Mouth snaffle. So again, same cheek piece, does the same thing as before, except this mouthpiece is a snaffle, but it's a Happy Mouth, so it's flavored and it's plastic, so it's softer than like a normal metal snaffle. And you know, just like any other snaffle, this is roof and bar pressure. not so much tongue pressure because it's that nutcracker and it goes around the tongue, so it hits the roof and the bars of the mouth. So super mild bit. Still, I don't really have any harsh bits. All of mine are mild, but this is like the most, this and then the one that you guys just saw is like the most severe bit that I have that's dressage legal, and they're not severe at all. They're quite soft. So this is a full cheek. This is what I was talking about. So this is for horses that have a little bit more trouble steering because it's a full cheek, so it kind of goes all the way both sides of their mouth, so when you pull it kind of grabs them, and so that way you shouldn't have any issues steering. And then just like Gidget's bit for at home, it's just a Happy Mouth roller, so it's bar and tongue pressure, and it's super soft. You know, they can play with this. I just think that they're more mild because my ponies tend to like them and they're super soft. So I'm a Happy Mouth fanatic. I love Happy Mouth bits. But that's this one. And there's multiple variations of this one, of course. Like Gidget had a loose ring, which is softer than this because it's not set. And then I have another loose ring, and then I'll show you guys my D-rings as well. You'll have to look in the dark, I apologize. But like I have D-rings also, like this one right here. And then this right here. This is a King D, and this is a Racing D. And so this bit is also what I have on the girls' Western Game Day bridles because it's soft, but I have a little extra bar for steering, but it's still super soft. And it has a roller and it's double jointed, so they really like them. And they're great for me to be able to turn and do quick things quickly when I like barrel racing or pole bending, whatever. So this is just a super soft, super quiet, easy bit that they really like. And I have many of these. Like I said, all the girls' Western bridles have this bit or the King D on them. The next bit I have is an egg butt Happy Mouth snaffle, just like the Boucher. So same thing, snaffle, it's bar and roof pressure, but it's softer because it's a simple snaffle, no pole pressure. So it's more simple, a little softer, very easy, nice bit. The next bit that I have is just this contoured loose ring leather bit. So it's contoured to the mouth just like Yo-Yo's egg butt was, so that way it shapes better and it's more comfortable. It's also super thick, so it's softer than like my thinner Happy Mouth bits. And then it's actually a pinchless loose ring, which means that this cannot pinch because loose rings will pinch the sides of their mouth, but this can't because it has this bar here. But simple snaffle. Leather's the softest mouthpiece that you can have, but this is metal covered in leather, so it's a little stronger than just like a straight out leather bit. Next is a Happy Mouth French Link. I have quite a few of these. So it's the same as the roller, but it's a little bit stronger because it has this dog bone piece. And you see it's thin, so it has a little more bite to it. It's gonna get your horse a little more responsive versus the roller that's rounded, so it's gonna have more surface area. This has less and it has points, so it's a little stronger. This is like the kind of bit that I ride Gidget for pairs, which you'll see her pairs bit in just a minute. The next bit that I have is a rubber Mullen Mouth loose ring. So this is a lot like the leather bit in that it's bendy and it'll contour to their mouth, so it's super duper soft, super duper soft. Jolene likes this a lot, but she's a little too strong in it, so more often than not I have to use the leather or the Happy Mouth, because where this is so fat she can bite down onto it and then she just avoids my hand and doesn't listen to me. So this is a great bit for horses that are extremely sensitive, but if they like to bite down and just hold the bit, this is not the best option ever because it's really easy to do that with this bit. The next bit that I have is another Boucher. So this one's actually shaped a little bit, so that way when you pull, it kind of goes out and in. So it actually has a little more surface area against their face. I'm not sure what difference that makes, to be completely honest. Copper mouth, which makes it taste better. That's all it does really, is just make it taste better. And then this is a lozenge, which is different from that French Link because it's more like a roller, but it's stationary. It's super soft and rounded, so it doesn't hurt as much as that French Link does. So this is another, like, it's a soft, mild, stronger bit because where the Boucher is, you have the pull pressure, but it contours to the mouth, and it's just bar and tongue pressure, so it's quite a nice quiet bit. I use this on Gidget occasionally if she's being like extra strong for no reason, or even Yo-Yo. Like whenever I jump him, sometimes I have to have a stronger bit like this, but it's still super soft, but you can gain control quicker than like if you were in a snaffle. I don't really feel like we need to go through more snaffles, but like here is just like a little egg butt snaffle. It's just like a little pony egg butt. We've already gone over what snaffles do, and these, like this one's just not contoured, so it just doesn't shape to the mouth as much, whereas this loose ring does. I don't know if you can see it. It's contoured, so it shapes to the mouth, but it's just a loose ring, and then I have a regular loose ring right there, and then I have a D ring and a full cheek that are both contoured as well. I'm so sorry that it's hard to see. I wish I had a light in here, but I don't. But those are just more snaffles, so I don't really see a point in pulling them out to show you. And then like I have this Happy Mouth snaffle loose ring again. My horses really don't like loose rings that much, so I don't know why I have so many. But that's all my snaffle bits, and like my Happy Mouth snaffle, I just don't feel a need to show you guys those over and over. So we're gonna move on to different ones. These next two bits are kind of the same as that boucher that I showed you. So they're just lozenges. So this is an egg butt lozenge, this is a loose ring lozenge. So where this one, the cheek piece will rotate, but this will stay stationary in their mouth. Whereas this, your cheek piece can rotate just a smidge, which makes your mouthpiece a little stronger, and it makes it a little more direct. So that's why loose rings are so soft, is because this piece will move, that piece will never move. So it's softer because it contours and shapes and it sits and stays. Whereas this will move in the mouth depending on how you're pulling. So like if you pull on it, it'll move. Whereas if you pull on this, the ring is just gonna move. So always a set cheek piece is gonna be stronger than your loose ring. The next bit that I have is the strongest bit that I own, and I've never used it ever actually, but it is a 2-ring elevator with a copper lozenge. So again, this is copper just for flavor, just for taste. It's got a lozenge, so it's soft, but then this provides leverage, so a lot of leverage actually. Your cheek piece attaches right here, and then your reins can attach here or here. If you attach them here, it acts basically just like a boucher, but with your mouthpiece not being set, so it still moves, and this will rotate, but this will stay steady in your horse's mouth while this rotates and provides more pull pressure. And then this is your gag, basically your gag ring, and so it provides a much larger amount of pull pressure, and when you pull on it, it shifts this up into the horse's mouth. So it basically gags them, which is why I hate this bit, and that's why I never use it, is because it's just too strong. And I do not like gag bits at all. I honestly don't know why I have this. I think I bought it because it was cute, because it's a pony gag. I do not recommend using them if you can avoid it. I am 100%, I'm always softer is more, less is more. So if your horse needs like a gag, I highly recommend you working with them to get them out of a gag, because it's just so much in their mouth and it's so hard on them that I really would not recommend it. But I understand that some horses are like really, really strong and they have to be worked down out of something like this. This is the second and final strong bit that I own, and it is actually a Myler bit. So it's a full cheek, so steering purposes, it's contoured, so that way it shapes to the mouth, and it cannot pinch. It cannot do a nutcracker action. It absolutely cannot. It does not pinch, so it's like kind of whole. It's mostly tongue pressure, honestly, because it doesn't hit the roof of the mouth. And then it's also bar, where this is contoured to shape to the bars of the mouth. And then right here, again, copper roller, mostly just flavor. And then rollers are kind of like for horses to play with, basically. But then the cool thing about the Myler bits is that both sides act independently. So say your horse is leaning on you on one rein. If you pull on that rein, it lifts just that side of the bit while the other side stays steady, which is the super nice thing about Mylar bits. So this one is soft, but it's strong if you put your cheek piece through this, because then it makes it into like a boucher. So it's still not that strong. It's still quite soft, but it's super nice because it has two different sides that can act independently. So this is a pretty cool bit. I love it. It's just, it's a little strong is all. All right, so now we're getting into the bits that are actually on bridles that I use. This bit you'll see again on down the line where there's better light, so I'm gonna pass on it for now. But this is Yo-Yo's Games bit. This is also the bit that he has on his Western Game Day bridle. And the only difference is that that one's a full cheek and this one's an egg butt. Same exact bit though. It's literally just a rubber snaffle. So it sits in his mouth a lot softer, and it's a lot softer on the bars of his mouth, but it's a snaffle, so it still gives bar and roof pressure. But it's super soft, so when you pull, it's got a lot more give to it because it's rubber. So it's a super soft bit. The next bit that we have doubles again, so I'm actually going to skip it for the moment. But we'll skip to Jolene's jump bit, which is the same as the bit that I ride her in at home, except it's an egg butt. So it's literally the exact same thing. It's just a flat leather bit. And so it just contours to her mouth. It's super soft. When you pull, it's very direct, but still super soft because the leather has a lot of give. So super soft bit for her to jump. And then next we have her Games bit, which is a full cheek, because sometimes she can get a little stuck. So the full cheek helps her get unstuck and get broken up. But it is a leather covered full cheek with a copper lozenge. So again, the copper is for flavor. The leather is for softness, but it's covered metal. So that way it still has a little bit more of a bite to it. So that way when you do, go to stop or hold the contact or pick up one rein, she actually feels it a little more than she would with just a normal snaffle. The next bit, Jolene and Gidget both use for dressage. It is the same thing. It is a leather, just a straight leather bit, like no metal, just straight leather bit. Except it's rounded because that is legal for dressage. The flat ones are not legal. I can't remember if it's USEF or USDA. I don't remember, but regardless, this is the one that's legal for everything. So it's the one that I would rather use and have them used to. The girls just love it because it's so soft and it contours to their mouth, and so it's just the lightest pressure. And that's all it takes to get them round and bending and collected for dressage. The next bit is actually this one right here, which was also on Yo-Yo's jumping bridle. It is a rubber D-ring French link. So same French link piece where it's a little bit stronger because it's a thinner piece. And then this bit is actually stronger than like my Happy Mouth French link because it's thinner. But it's still rubber, so it's still soft. But where it's thinner than like my D-ring here, it's technically stronger because it has less surface area, so it's a little harsher. None of my bits are harsh. It's just the easiest way to like explain it. So the next bit here, this is Gidget's jumping bit, and then sometimes I play games on her in it, but it's another pinchless loose ring. So as you can see, when it rotates, she is not going to get pinched because of this piece here. But it's just a loose ring with a copper lozenge, so super soft, super simple. She likes it because for jumping, like basically it's her cross country bit, and she gets a little strong out there and she can really hold the bit and like pull. But with this, I can have, the individual sides act kind of individually, and it just gives me a little more control and a little more adjustability. The next bit is this one right here. This is Gidget's Teams bit. So it is a Happy Mouth egg butt with a copper roller. So again, the copper roller is just for flavor. And then the Happy Mouth is also flavored. But it's a contoured bit. I don't know if you can really tell where it's kind of, the mouthpiece is more shaped. so it shapes to her mouth really, really nicely. And again, she prefers that bar and tongue pressure, and that's what this does. But it's still a super soft bit, and it took me like 10 decades to find this bit that was affordable. But I absolutely love this bit. She absolutely loves this bit. And an egg butt is a super soft cheek piece because it's basic. It's kind of like a slight upgrade from the loose ring, and that like your rein can still slide on it, so it's still quite soft. But that's Gidget's games bit for teams. And then for like pairs, this is her bit for pairs. It's the same thing, an egg butt, because she just prefers an egg butt mouthpiece. She doesn't like loose rings because it's too much movement, but the egg butt, like I said, is just a very simple upgrade from that, and it keeps it more steady in her mouth. And it's just a French link because, you know, in pairs you need to be able to whoa and turn back up the field. You need to have lots of breaks, and you need your horse to be super responsive. And so she has the French link, which is just a smidge stronger than this roller here, because like I said, you know, this is a lot softer on the mouth where it's round, whereas this is just a little harder because it's a thinner piece of metal. But that's her bit for pairs. And then this here is another, it's just a Boucher Happy Mouth roller. It's not contoured or anything. But sometimes I'll use this bit for Gidget for pairs or individuals. It just depends on how strong she's being. But it's just, you know, that basic snaffle with the slight little bit of pull pressure because it's the Boucher rings. But then this is her actual individuals bit. So kind of like the same thing as Jolene's bit. It's a leather Boucher with a copper lozenge, and it also has the shaped outward upper cheek piece there, so it gives me pull pressure, so that way whenever I whoa or ask her to do something, she actually is going to respond a lot quicker, and she's going to be a little more efficient. It is contoured just like Jolene's. See how shaped and curved the mouthpiece is. And then the copper lozenge is softer than the like her French link, because I don't need a French link when I'm using a Boucher. I either need a stronger mouthpiece or a stronger cheek piece. For pairs, I just prefer a French link, just so that way there's just a smidge more in her mouth. Versus individuals, I need her to be really quick and responsive, so I have the added pull pressure, but still the softer mouthpiece. So that's all my bits. That's my plethora of bits. I'll let y'all see them all again. All the bits, all the bits. And like I said, I have doubles of multiple of these. Like Yo-Yo's bit is the same as Jolene's backup games bit. And like that Boucher is basically the same as Jolene's bit. It's just there's lots of variations of bits. All kinds of different bits, you know, there's so many that it's hard to like name them all, but this is what I have, and I like to have a good variety, so that way anytime I have a horse that's being a little more difficult or decides that they don't like their bit anymore, which is Jolene like all the time, I have plenty to choose from and plenty to kind of experiment with. And like when we get these Mustangs here in 2 months, I have plenty of bits to choose from for what I would like to use on them. And you know, since we're talking about that, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of let you guys know like what, for me, what I plan to start them in bit wise. And that is probably going to be like this loose ring here, depending on how soft they are. If they're really soft in the rope halter, I'll probably start them in this contoured loose ring, so that way it shapes to their mouth. It's super soft, it's super simple, it's very basic for just teaching them how to give to pressure and just to hold a bit in their mouth. This is a great way to start, so that's probably where they will start. But if they are a little duller to the aids, I would say, or they're not as light, I will probably start them in the full cheek, just so that way, you know, if they get tense, if they go to you know, do some kind of erratic, quick movement, I can get a hold of their face really quickly with this, whereas with the loose ring, it's gonna take more effort because that bit will actually slide through their mouth depending on how much you have to pull. This is never gonna slide through their mouth. But it's still that contoured shape, super nice, super soft snaffle. So that's probably the bits that they'll be started in, is like this full cheek, the D-ring, the loose ring. Very basic, soft snaffle bits. And the more I get to know them, the more I'll figure out what they like, and we will go from there. Just like with Jolene, I started her in that loose ring, and now, you know, she's in her leather D for dressage, her leather egg butt for jumping, and then she has her leather full cheek with a lozenge for games. And I'm honestly still experimenting with her for games because she's quite weird. And she likes to change what bit she likes all the time. So it's a constant work in progress. Whereas like Yo-Yo, you can put anything in his mouth, he does not care. But Gidget is also very particular. So it's just a matter of having enough of a collection that you can figure out what it is your horses like. And if you gotta buy more, you gotta buy more. There is no downside to having a plethora of bits and bridles. So that is it for all of those. Alright, I hope that everyone enjoyed today's video. I hope that you were able to learn something. I hope that it was super beneficial and super educational for you guys. If you like videos like this, just let me know and I'll keep trying to do them because I have a lot more tack than just bits and bridles. And I'll probably do it like every year and updated, you know, what collection do I have. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.